Have you ever wondered who is considered to be the first human to fly? Have you ever heard that it was the 9th century Muslim polymath, inventor, physician and engineer? Abbas Ibn Firnas was born in the Islamic Golden Age period, dated from mid-7th century to mid-13th century, which was a time in which Muslims all around the world, including philosophers, poets, artists, traders and scholars, all contributed to the economy, sciences and technological advancements. Abbas Ibn Firnas contributed a lot to the development of technology and inventions. These contributions are what helped the Islamic Empire to become so strong. With this intellectual and futuristic combination of education, he started shining as a true polymath, intellectual engineer and poet, which pushed the people to start calling him Hakim of Al-Andalus. He is best known for being the world's first pilot. He created the first glider, which inspired other inventors like the Wright brothers to build the first aeroplane. He was a true visionary and inventor, and his contribution to the field of science and technology cannot be overstated. He became obsessed with the idea of flying and attempted to make a flying machine in the early 9th century. However, his initial designs were primitive and failed. Over the next 25 years, he worked tirelessly on his flying machine, using his knowledge of mechanics, astronomy and physics to perfect the design. He studied the movements of birds and bats, the principles behind their ability to fly, and incorporated those into his own design. Ibn Firnas was inspired by the ancient Greek legend of Daedalus, who had built wings to escape captivity on the island of Crete. He wanted to recreate the power of wings to give humanity the ability to fly. His efforts caught the attention of the ruler of his homeland, the Emir Abd al-Rahman II, who was fascinated by his work. Ibn Firnas built a flying machine with wings made of silk that were connected to an iron frame. The wings were coated in feathers and were designed to flap just like a bird's. He attached a rudimentary tail and controls for steering and braking. He used his knowledge of astronomy to time his first flight trial perfectly and avoid the heat of the day, choosing instead to fly at dawn. On the day of the trial, Ibn Firnas climbed a tower outside of the city of Cordoba, wearing his wings and holding tightly onto his invention. His design featured a head-to-toe leather bag he had filled with bird feathers. He then leapt off the tower, relying on the wings to lift him into the sky. The first flight was a success, albeit relatively short. Ibn Firnas soared upwards for a short distance before he began to lose altitude. He was able to control his descent and landed safely without injury. Observers of the flight were astonished and awed by the feat. The king was so impressed with Ibn Firnas's accomplishment that he granted him a generous reward and ensured that his invention was preserved in the palace library for future generations. While Ibn Firnas's first flight was not an extended one, it was undoubtedly groundbreaking, as he had built his own wings and sustained a flight for a few moments. Fellow scholars and scientists praised and respected his invention as a scientific achievement. He was one of the foremost inventors of his time, a preeminent figure in the history of technology, and his invention of the early flight machine is still celebrated today. Ibn Firnas's accomplishment was significant, especially considering the time period in which it occurred. He made a valiant attempt to construct a flying machine based on his knowledge of physics and biology long before the advent of the Industrial Revolution and the modern understanding of aerodynamics. His persistence and dedication to a vision of flight were ahead of his time, and it took centuries for his ideas to be realized in the invention of the aeroplane. According to historical records, Ibn Firnas designed his flying machine based on his observations of birds in flight. He constructed a pair of wings made of feathers and silk, which he attached to a wooden frame. He then jumped from the tower, flapped his wings, and managed to glide through the air for a short distance before landing safely on the ground. While Ibn Firnas's flight was not sustained, and he did not achieve true powered flight, his achievement was still remarkable. He had demonstrated that human beings could fly, and he had laid the groundwork for the development of more sophisticated flying machines in the centuries to come. In addition to his work in aeronautics, Ibn Firnas made significant contributions to other fields as well. He was a skilled musician, and he invented a number of musical instruments, including a lute with a fourth string. He was also an accomplished poet and calligrapher, and his writings and artistic works have been admired for their beauty and skill. Several historians have acknowledged his share in the development of these materials by converting them into transparent glass, which led him to lay the foundation of Andalusian glasses that are still in use today. His magnification of the glass properties also led him to invent and design lenses for accurate eyesight. Abbas Ibn Firnas was the first customer of his product, since the lenses helped him with reading. Yes, the ones we use today. He did not struggle with all the inventions, and also designed a water clock called al-Muqatta with the aim of keeping track of time. In addition, Ibn Firnas wrote several books on engineering, astronomy, mathematics and physics. Ibn Firnas was also a scholar and philosopher, and he made significant contributions to the fields of optics and astronomy. He was one of the first scholars to recognize that the Earth was round, and he made important observations about the motion of the stars and the planets. Throughout his life, Ibn Firnas was known for his curiosity and his dedication to learning. He was a prolific inventor and a tireless researcher, and his work helped to lay the foundation for many of the technological advances of the modern world. Some 7 centuries after the death of Firnas, the Algerian historian Ahmad al-Makari, d. 1632, wrote a description of Firnas that included the following. Among other very curious experiments which he made, one is his trying to fly. He covered himself with feathers for the purpose, attached a couple of wings to his body, and, getting on an eminence, flung himself down into the air, when, according to the testimony of several trustworthy writers who witnessed the performance, he flew a considerable distance, as if he had been a bird. But, in alighting again on the place whence he had started, his back was very much hurt, for not knowing that birds, when they alight, come down upon their tails, he forgot to provide himself with one. Despite his many achievements, Ibn Firnas faced a number of challenges in his lifetime. He lived during a time of political and social upheaval, as the Muslim world was experiencing a period of decline and instability. He also faced personal struggles, including the loss of his sight in his later years. Despite these challenges, Ibn Firnas remained committed to his intellectual pursuits and his passion for invention. His legacy continues to inspire and inform scholars and thinkers in the Muslim world and beyond, and his contributions to the field of flight have had a profound impact on the development of aviation technology. In 1976, the International Astronomical Union, IAU, approved of naming a crater on the Moon after him as Ibn Firnas. In 2011, one of the bridges going over the Guadalquivir River in Córdoba, Spain, was named the Abbas Ibn Firnas Bridge. A British one-plane airline, Firnas Airways, was also named after him. Ibn Firnas was a true visionary and inventor who made significant contributions to science and technology of his time. His invention of a flying machine was an ambitious attempt to achieve what many had considered impossible. Although he might have been successful in his aims, his pioneering efforts paved the way for the success of an independent human flight centuries later. His work remains an inspiration to ambitious scientists and tinkerers even today, and a testament to the perseverance and dedication required in the quest for progress.